a Republican or a Democrat, the bureaucracy there in Washington in the swamp should be there to support the administration, not take advantage of the administration. And that's why you hear this, called the swamp there in Washington, D.C. It's for exactly cases like this, where you have the FBI director who is on a 10-year term who decides he's going to take advantage of a disorganized transition going into Washington, as he put it. And that is, I think, above all else, that's alarming that anybody in the federal bureaucracy would think that way. And I think that's why you're seeing so many Americans disillusioned with Washington. And in fact, I don't think Donald Trump has done everything he can do to try to drain the swamp, as he calls it. I don't think any of that's going to happen until you start to get some of these agencies out of Washington, D.C. When you have 90% of the populace in Washington, D.C. and 90% of the workforce who vote extreme left and vote for Democrats, you have an unsustainable system. And so I think it would be helpful to get, the EPA, the Department of Interior, some of these agencies out to maybe where the rest of America lives, and they might be a little closer to the people.
So you just mentioned the so-called 302s, the reports that you've been asking for a year from the FBI and the DOJ. More reports, so-called 302s, were released on Friday, and the president tweeted about it. I want to show you what the president said over the weekend and this morning about these reports, and then get your reaction to what you've seen and what is still missing. So the president tweeted this: so where are all of the missing text messages between fired FBI agents Peter Strzok and the lovely Lisa Page, his lover? Just reported that they have been erased and wiped clean. What an outrage as the totally compromised and conflicted witch hunt moves ever so slowly forward. Want them. What happened here, Congressman?
My guess is that the Mueller team, they had to get rid of Page and Strzok because the IG discovered that they were biased against the White House and the people that they were investigating. And so I think it was a simple matter of what we've seen DOJ and FBI do in numerous cases here, is that they quickly moved to hide the ball and cover up their tracks, hoping that no one would actually catch them in this. And the fact that you have two biased agents and you would erase any of their phones, what should have immediately happened is those phones, any dedicated public servant would have said, look, I'm not going to obstruct any investigation. These employees did wrong. Those phones should have been turned over immediately to the IG so the IG could conduct an investigation. Since they did not do that, you have to wonder. I mean, these are sophisticated operators, some of the best operators that we have in all of government that have worked at DOJ and FBI for a long time. The fact that they wouldn't turn these over is just another alarming fact and a disturbing set of facts that continues in this whole fiasco.
It's just extraordinary, which is why then the Wall Street Journal came out with another op-ed titled "Checking Robert Mueller." A judge brings to light the FBI's dodgy conduct in the Michael Flynn case, writes Kimberly Strassel. Now, you want to break some news this morning in terms of what you're going to be calling for in the new Congress to try to get your arms around this stream of information that the American people have yet to see. Tell us about what you're going to be calling for in 2019.
Well, thank you, Marie. And as you know, I've said this here in the last month, actually a couple of months, our investigation is essentially over. We have everything that we need. What we're lacking now is we're lacking the declassification by the president. And for various reasons, the president or his staff doesn't want to do it. Therefore, I think it's important, if the president doesn't want his hands on it, we have to have somebody, some office that's going to look at all of these issues and all of these documents that need to be declassified. I think if the president was to create some type of office like this, I'm going to be working with my colleagues to work on and send some example over to the president of a transparency type of office, so that the Congress, the American people, others can put in requests of documents or issues that they want declassified. That way the president doesn't have to take this full burden on, and the Congress has somewhere where we can go to try to avoid the swamp creatures, let's say, from getting involved in ensuring that the American public is kept in the dark. We need to make sure that there's light. I always say that sunlight is the best disinfectant in Washington. The more that we can get declassified, I think the better. And I think an easy way to do it is to create an office that actually just works directly under the White House that specializes in evaluating this documentation to get and errs on the side of the more sunlight, the better, to make sure that everything that we want declassified gets declassified.
Well, we've spoken with you all year as you have been doing this investigation into the FBI's handling of this probe into the Trump campaign and potential collusion alongside the investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails. And we know that Robert Mueller was running the FBI during the time that the Clinton Global Initiative was operating. Now you've got whistleblowers coming out on the Clinton Global Initiative and the Clinton Foundation. Most people don't realize that these are all the same players who were actually running things at the government agencies that are now investigating that same thing, like Robert Mueller. What do you know about Robert Mueller's probe and when it is ending?
Well, I have no idea when it's ending. I've said this for months now, it needs to end soon because it's destroying America. You have over 40% of the American people believe that the Trump campaign colluded with Russians, even though there is not one shred of evidence that that happened. And in fact, the only evidence that we know for sure is that the Democrats and the Hillary campaign colluded directly with Russians. Okay, by hiring a foreign agent to go talk to Russians to get dirt on the other candidate. The same is true for this Clinton Foundation investigation. Let's not forget that one of the lawyers for the Clinton Foundation is serving on Mueller's team looking into the president. Let's also not forget that you had the Clinton Foundation taking hundreds of thousands of dollars from not just Russians, but other countries, and at the same time why those countries had business before the State Department when Hillary Clinton was there. So there's all kinds of circumstantial evidence. We've been looking at this under the direction of Peter King, my colleague on the Intelligence Committee. We have lots of things that look really bad, but at the end of the day, until you get either a special counsel or someone in the Department of Justice who's going to be able to operate with autonomy to actually go in and bring this and prosecute it, I think justice is still going to continue to be denied. So I'm hopeful that someone within DOJ is looking at this, but I don't have a lot of confidence right now after the last couple of years of what I've been seeing.
So we don't have a peep on any of that where we actually have news and evidence of wrongdoing, and yet